I'm recording now. I'm sorry. I'm recording now. Force of habit. I am not used to recording my sessions, but I am recording from this point forward. Apologies. And I will share all of the previous things that I was just talking about. But yes, take notes. The other thing is that there's a tab that says materials. I don't know if you can see me as I'm doing this, but there are materials that you can download. And you may find them helpful as well. Okay, so I'm going to tap this back in and go back over here. Okay, so some other things over here, which you may or may not already know. And I'm just going to change sections, by the way, because I do not want to be working in this section of the website because it scares me. I'm going to go, don't mind me while I just navigate to my pages. There we go. I have a test section. Okay, so you may know this already, but to make a new page, we would click on New. You always want to make sure that the parent page is highlighted in green over here on the left in the navigation pane. And then in the details pane, you click once on New, okay? And I hit the page title here, okay? Oop, is that? Oh, I thought that was me. Okay. Leave page name blank, okay? Leave blank. So leave this blank, guys. Leave that blank. We leave it blank because the CMS is smart, okay? It is super smart, and it will use your page title to create the URL for the page, okay? And we do that for SEO purposes. SEO is search engine optimization. So we want them to match. So we'll do that on our own. The only exceptions, by the way, are if your page title, and this may apply to some of you who have page titles that have special characters or accent marks, which I don't normally have to teach, but when I'm working with people who work in global centers, accent marks come up. So, for example, where is the accent in pagina? I think it's in the I, right? All right, we're going to pretend I spelled pagina correctly. So we're pretending I know how to spell pagina. So in this instance, I'm going to just do that. Oh, it did it correctly. Okay. Nope, we're good. So the accent mark is lost in the page name, which is wonderful. You just want to be on the lookout if you have special characters. I do not know. That's right. I'm admitting that I do not know something. I cannot guarantee that all special characters, like this I with an accent mark, are going to get filtered properly. It is possible that what may happen is that if you have an accent mark, that it may do something like that. Do you see that page name where it replaces that character with a dash? Okay, so just keep that in mind. If you make a new page and the title has an accent mark and you look at the URL and the URL is something funky, just delete the page, delete it, say bye, say adios to the page, make a new page. And then what you would do with the name is the first word dash second word. Okay, so that's how you would create the URL. So everything lowercase with dashes, and just make sure that there are no spaces at the end. Okay, and you use that if and only if something happens and there's a weird accent mark that created a funky page URL. Okay, so just so you know, one example, this page here of someone that I was training the other day, she has an apostrophe in her last name. It takes the apostrophe out and excuse me, and it puts a dash in it. So you might not want that dash there. Okay, that's a use case, if you will, of a situation where that might apply to. Okay. All right. So some other things over here, just so you know them. Activate and deactivate are both up here. And then if you needed to reorder your pages and how they appear in the navigation. So this gray bar is your navigation from left to right. Okay, that's from left to right. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. That's how they appear. One from left to right here. So if you needed to reorder those pages, you would click on a page on the left by this number, and you can drag it and then drop it. And then it asks you to confirm, and you say yes. And then it will rearrange over here, and you'll see that it gets updated on the left as well, okay? This is over here in Details pane. That's the only place to rearrange. If for any reason you decide or you realize that one of these child pages over here actually needs to be moved up one level, okay? You need to put in a request form with my team, and I will email that to you, okay? I'll email that out, and I'm just making a note of that right now. You need to email my team, and we will do that move for you. So don't worry about that. We'll do it. But you can definitely rearrange the navigation if you need to. Okay. One other thing, if you were to right click on any of these pages, you get a bunch of different options over here. These options are very similar to this menu bar of options that we see up top here, okay? And they are also similar to options that are available to you when you're actually editing pages, which are really cool. So you can activate a page right from here. You can also open a page to edit that page as well, okay? So we'll go ahead and edit a page. To do so, you can double click on the page. So I can either double click here or I can right click and hit open. So I'm just going to go ahead and double click. I'm also going to check to see, nope, no questions. Okay. All right. So pardon me, this is just some leftover content from a training that I just did. So I'm just going to go ahead and delete this so that we can start fresh. I'm just going to delete things. Okay, so what we're looking at here is edit mode. Most of you are actually working with pages that have content already on it, but some of you may need to make brand new pages, okay? What we have basically when we get into edit mode, we see the actual page and we're given spaces that we can drag our components to. The CMS is what we call a WYSIWYG editor. So what you see is what you get, and everything is drag and drop. So what we have over here on the right, this is our sidekick. This is where all of our tools live, basically. And we've got some tabs up at the top. The first tab is where all of the components are, and these are the building blocks of our web page. The second tab is where different page properties and different menu options live. This is very similar to when we were just in Site Admin and I hit right click. These are very similar. You can activate your page right from here, everyone. One of my favorite features, activate page right from here. Something else, once again, because so many of you have multiple people working on the same pages at the same time, this third tab that looks like a lock, the information tab, there's something called audit log. If I click on this audit log, I can see who did something to the page, when, and what they did. So they created the page or they modified the page. So depending on the kind of updates you're making, and just the checks you want to have, the system of checks and balances, if you will, you guys want to have in place, this may be useful for you. Okay. The fourth tab is something called versioning or version control. It's not something that I'm going to get into too much detail about, but I will send you information about version control. It is something I'm a big fan of. But basically, what version control lets you do is if you're working on a page and you activate that page, what it will do is, oh, no, there's no version. Okay. It will basically save a copy of it. So then if you go back to that page and you make more edits, and you realize that those were the worst edits you've ever made in your entire life, you can say, it's okay, I'm going to restore back to this previous version that I know was good. And you can keep on doing that. You can also manually create a version. This is a version. And I can just manually create a version of a page right over here. So I'm going to send you details on that. This may be useful for some of you, depending on the kind of content you have on your pages, but I am a fan. We don't need to worry about that bottom, that last tab here. Down at the bottom, we have the pencil is edit mode. The magnifying glass is preview. It lets us look at the pages from the site viewer perspective. The globe takes us back to site admin. And then the double arrows is reload, and that is in case you are working on your page and something is wonky, doesn't look right, you just hit reload and it literally just refreshes everything on the page for you, okay? You can move the sidekick and you can also collapse it. I am currently working on an 11-inch computer, so I need all the screen real estate I can get. So being able to collapse the sidekick is very helpful. On the left-hand side is your asset tray, and these are just all of the images in your particular DAM folder that were recently uploaded, okay? What's useful is that you have the file name down at the bottom, but what's really cool is we're looking at mosaic view. If I were to click on list view and hover my mouse over it, it pops up an actual path of that particular file. So there are some people who are just like, I want to know exactly where that file lives. And that is exactly where that file lives in case you need to get there later. Is there a question? No. Okay. Sorry. I hear dings and I think it's questions on the system. Okay. But yeah, so I think that feature is particularly cool, and we'll talk about more about those paths in just a moment or two. You can search for files through here based on the file name, the Bobcat I'm a fan of. And then by default, you're taken to the images tab, but you can kind of go through based on the file type. But you also may want to go to browse because you can search through either shared assets that everyone has access to, or you can look through your particular DAM folder. I know for the global academic centers and global programs, you guys share folders, but then you only have access to your particular city's folder. So just you would see all that in there, okay? So in terms of just, I'm gonna actually go back to this page, okay. So just some things when working in the CMS, I know there was a particular question about lists of organizations on the page, and I think it was Tomas who had that question, and I don't know if you were using promos to have them up there, but I know a lot of you are using a particular promo component, this one right here, which is the color title promo on your pages. And a lot of problems that I've seen is that you try to rearrange them and you can't drag them on top of each other, okay? So that's something to keep in mind. So these things here, and if you look at any of the files that I have available for download One of them is a component reference guide. The components, and I've got lots of components on this page, are kind of set up into different categories. And on this page is just a bunch of promos. And these are kind of ways to promote things elsewhere in your site. And a lot of you have these types of promos on your pages, these types of components. And one way to distinguish them from everything else is that they've got these little toolbars up at the top of them that say edit, cut, copy, paste, delete. So when we're working with them, it's really easy to edit them because we can say, hey, edit. And we kind of go ahead and answer these questions. Do we want a header? Asterisk means it's required. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and fill that in. And it will tell you if something is optional. If we want a color is optional. If we want to link it. And then we hit OK to insert. And if you want to kind of rearrange them, that's that annoying thing that I just mentioned before, that you can't drag these on top of each other. And you'll notice that there's a red X. It's when I try to do that. But I can drag them underneath each other. And there's a green check there. So it makes it very annoying and very frustrating that if you need to rearrange any of these, you have to do so by dragging them underneath each other. The alternative, if you're working with color title promos, is to literally just change the content of it. So make this one NYU Photo Bureau and update the link and update the color and do it that way, which I personally am not a fan of, but just as an option to do. So one of the big components that you guys work a lot with also is rich text, which is this component just here. Once again, it's just drag and drop. And then to edit, we can right click and hit edit. When we're inserting text, a lot of the copy that most of our authors receive is something that's been emailed. That's been emailed out, or that you receive in a Word document. It's important that when you're inserting that text into this field, so if I'm just going to have random text in here, that you either type directly into this field here, or if it's text that was already given to you, that you use this little clipboard in the corner and then go ahead and paste it right over here. Okay? This is important because it strips the formatting. And once the formatting is stripped, yes, you have to reinsert all of your bullets and the bold and the underlined. But what happens is that in case there was anything on there, let's say it was from a Word document, Word, the markup language that makes something bold in Word is going to be different than the markup language that the CMS uses to make something bold. And so you can put that text in here and paste it in and hit OK and activate your page. But it's possible that in the future, you try to update that text, you might not be able to edit that text. And it would, what we call, lock the component. Okay, so just keep that in mind, that you need to strip all the formatting from your text before you have it on there. Okay, I want to go into the DAM because there were many questions about that. Actually, no, first I'm going to talk about linking to the DAM. Sorry, because you guys really wanted to link to the DAM. No. Okay, so I'm just going to show you how to do that. I'm going to insert a rich text component, and I'm going to edit. Okay, so linking to a file in the DAM. So there's a couple things when you're linking to a file in the DAM. So first of all, the specific question was about a Word file. So first of all, you're going to want to make sure that it's, so like file name, you would want to have that here. The other thing is that you would probably want to put the file type, or something like this, Word doc, something like that. So file name, file type, And then you'd want to have the file size, okay? So that's generally what you'd want to do. You're going to highlight the text, and this is, once again, this is if you're linking to a file in rich text. You're going to highlight the text, and there's the globe with a little hyperlink. I'm going to click on it. And then there's a little magnifying glass. I'm going to go ahead and click on that guy. And then instead of going to NYU and going to my websites and kind of linking to a website, I'm going to click on digital assets, okay? And then I'm going to go to my folder, and I'm going to locate my folder, and I'm going to locate my file, all right? So in my particular example, I don't actually have any Word documents to link to, so I apologize. So I'm just going to use an image, but we'll just all pretend together that I'm linking to a document. So what you're basically going to do is just kind of navigate to that file, however many folders deep you have to go. Do this one. So you highlight it in green and then hit OK. So I have it just here. What you can also do is, and this is probably easier with an image, you can also do it with a document if you know the file, using your asset tray, is you can search for it here, and you can drag it and drop it into that field, okay? You can also do it that way, which is really cool. I'm also a fan of doing that. So as long as you've got that file in there, and I hit OK, and it's now linked to, and I now have it. So if I'm on the website and I click on it, it's so pretty. It's the bobcat. Yay. So that is how we would do that. There we go. Perfect. Just make sure that you follow the practice of having the file name, file type, and file size. Yes. How do you add a doc? Perfect. Okay, I will do that next. Oops. Okay, so if we want to add a document, so I'm going to go back to websites. And I'm going to, from here, up at the very, very top, you're going to see that this is very similar to what we saw from the welcome screen. So I'm going to go ahead and click on digital assets. And this takes me to what looks like the identical screen we were just at, but this is actually our DAM folder. We see it says digital assets here, and it says DAM up at the top. It stands for Digital Asset Manager. Okay? And then we also have our folder, all right? I don't have any privileges. Give me 1 second. I just need to log in as myself because the person I was pretending to be has 0 privileges. Okay, there we go. All right, I now have superpowers, so apologize for all the extra folders that I have access to. Okay, so we're in the DAM, okay? And so what you're going to do is you're going to navigate to your folder. And do I have... there we go. All right. There we go. Global programs. I'm going to pretend to be Josh Taylor. He works in Global Academic Centers. Okay. So you're going to navigate to your folder, and you're going to say, okay, I want a document. And you find your location. So let's say I'm in Buenos Aires. So it's going to depend on a couple of different things. So you have to decide, all right, the file that I'm uploading, you ask yourself, do I need it to float in this random folder that says Buenos Aires? Or should it live in one of these folders? More often than not, it should be living in a subfolder, okay? If the subfolder that it needs to live in does not already exist, very similar with making new pages, you highlight the parent folder in green on the left, and then you click new, and you click that down arrow. Don't click the word new. Click the down arrow and say make new folder. Ignore title and only give it a name. So this is the opposite of what I told you with making pages. So you give it a name and use lowercase letters. So new folder. And you'll see that I did something weird here. The word new is in lowercase, but the F in folder is capital. So every time you add an additional word, that word gets capitalized. But the very first letter should be lowercase, okay? And then hit create. And so now you have a new folder. And don't worry, my Buenos Aires team, I will delete this later. So then you highlight the folder that you want to upload your file to. And then you can either click new, or you can click the arrow next to new and say new file. Ignore these bottom two. The only things that are important are new file or new folder. So I click new, and it says, hey, upload a file to this location. And I say browse. We browse our computer for a file we want to use. So do I have anything? Let's see. All right. So there's a couple of things. I have a document that I can use, but it's actually not a very good example. So this document here, this file name, there are spaces in the file name, and that's bad. We do not want to use that. That's just a bad example. Your file name, I apologize that I'm about to upload an image again, but your file name, you want it to have dashes in it. So you want it to be lowercase with dashes or numbers. So this one here has, oh, this is a better example. So there's numbers and dashes. So all lowercase, numbers and dashes, no spaces. So this one here, as we can see, there's spaces here, and that's not good. Essentially, oh, was there another question? Yes. Yes, they could be okay. I prefer not to. And I will get to your question in just a second. So underscores and actually the whole thing about spaces and dashes and underscores, it's kind of all related, and I'll show you why. Let me see. I'll show you why with this example right here. Open link in new tab. Okay, I don't know if you guys can see this right here, but I'm highlighting it. www.nyu.edu/content/dam/nyu/global programs, etc., etc., etc. This file right here, this lovely file from this PDF from Buenos Aires, this is a URL, okay? So I can literally go into the chat, paste this to you, and all of you, regardless of whether or not you have access to this folder, regardless of whether or not you are logged into the DAM, you can see this folder, like you can see this file, okay? So everyone can see this. As long as you know this URL, you can see it. Now, the reason why I talk about underscores is that if you actually look at that link that I gave you, and I'm actually glad I'm using Buenos Aires, is that the Buenos Aires in their folder has an underscore. So if you look at the URL that I pasted in there, you'll notice that the entire URL itself is underlined. That is common practice, that a URL gets underlined. So you then ask yourself, Buenos Aires, is Buenos Aires with a space or is it with an underscore? I don't know. It's confusing. So it's not that underscores aren't allowed. It's that underscores are confusing. And because I like to make things simple, and because I just like best practices in general, I just say avoid them. May as well not confuse people. But yes, if you have to, you can use them. Just prefer if you didn't. Um, so yes, that's my spiel on underscores. But the spaces are a big no-no. What happens to a space is that this guy, %20, gets inserted into the URL. Every single file, like I said, is a URL. So if there were a space in this file name, the space gets automatically converted to a %20. And if I were to share that file or link to it or include it in an email or a Word document or some other file type, remember what I said about how different programs have different markup languages? They may treat that file differently. So Microsoft Word may see the space and may say, okay, that's cool, you have a space in your URL. I'm going to leave that be. But another application may say, oh no, you have a space. I'm going to insert a %20 on your behalf because I'm just proactive. But what all of these programs fail to realize is that the % itself, in terms of a URL, also has a symbol that gets added when you use it in a URL. And so it just kind of adds on to things, and it can be really confusing. And so, so spaces and any kind of symbol, including accent marks and special characters in letters. So 100% this applies to any of those like E's with an accent mark or I's or I know in French there's that special C with a thingy underneath it. All the special characters, anything like any Russian characters, anything like that, you can't use them. And I'm sorry, but you just can't. So just keep that in mind. So yes. All right. There was a question about organizing actual folders and just making everything easier to find. Okay. So I'm gonna, since I already have a folder in here, I'll just keep working with that. So yes, there are a lot of, if you actually look in a lot of the different global programs, images and documents folders, a lot of things are just kind of, and this is a blanket statement, things are just kind of thrown all over the place. So absolutely, things can be organized better. What you can do and what you might want to do is talk with your team, whoever kind of has the most say-so in, and this may be you, and this may be all of you, whoever has the most say-so in the website and managing this, and say, okay, I'm looking at everything we have here. We do these 4 core programs every year, or we manage academics. We have staff photos. We have student activities, or we have these core functions or something like that. Think about the broad categories that things can be arranged in. So here, this is a good example. Buenos Aires has academics, and then they have syllabi. Cool. So I'm sure this could be arranged. Oh no, they have dots. All right, we'll pretend we don't see the dots. So they have academics, and I'm sure that they could be utilizing this. Maybe they're utilizing this as best as they can. But I like that is organized academics and syllabi, because it's very clear that these are the different syllabi for the classes that they have. It's very clearly organized. That is awesome. And then they have student services here. I don't know what content is in here, but we'll find out. Images, great. Images don't live here. So you really just want to think about the services that you're offering, and what deserves a folder, should things live under broader categories. From there, and I'm going to do this. another folder. Pardon me. I'm just going to upload some things so I can make my example. Where is my Hungry Giraffe? Okay. All right. From there, what you may find out is, okay, I've got these two folders right here that I've got this file right here, my Hungry Giraffe, and he really belongs in this folder because I'm realizing that these loose files, that's not how I want things organized. What you would do is you would highlight that file right here, my Hungry Giraffe, and I click the Move button. This is going to be the only time I tell people you can use the Move button is in your DAM, okay? Only time you can use it. So you click Move, and then what you're going to do is right over here where you see the little magnifying glass, is you're going to find the folder that you just made. Buenos Aires. And new folder here. Okay. Move. Do you want to move it? Yes, I want to move it. And now, if I look at Buenos Aires and I go to my new folder, that's where my Hungry Giraffe lives. Or then I realize, oh, you know what? This folder that I just made, this folder should live inside this folder. I'm going to move it here. Yes, I want to move it. So it really is a conversation you have to have about your services and go from there. I guarantee you it's going to take a lot of work in terms of rearranging things, but if you're OCD at all, I know it does take forever. You cannot move multiple things at the same time. But you know what you can do? Oh man, I'm gonna blow your minds. What you can totally do, this is really cool. I don't know if you've been doing this at all. Did you guys just see that? I can drag an image or drag a file and drop it. Did you guys just see how cool that is? You can do that, and you can do that with multiple files. So I've got 3, and I just uploaded 3 at a time, but I can't. And actually, maybe it's, or is it? Let me see. Drop files. No. Okay. So the reason why you can't move multiple files is because, what we're doing is we have the file name to consider. So it does have to be one file at a time, but you can upload multiple files. Yes, give this a go. You're welcome. Okay. So yes. And so I feel so bad for Buenos Aires right now. Oh gosh. Okay, so something similar, just like with your pages, if you want something to be on the live site, you have to activate it. In terms of the DAM folder, you have to do the exact same thing. If you want this to be available on the live site, you have to activate it. It's yellow because activation is pending. I'm going to refresh, and now it's activated. If you need to delete an asset, a digital asset, do not just hit the delete button. That's a no-no. The same thing with a page. Do not just delete a page. You have to deactivate it first. The reason is because we are pushing, we're pushing this page and we're pushing this URL. Because remember, just like this example here, these are URLs. So we're pushing that URL out into the world, out into the ether, if you will. And we're saying that content exists at this URL, at this path. And if we then just delete the content that is supposed to live there, that URL still exists, but now there's no content behind it. So if you deactivate it, we're now telling the CMS, nothing lives at this path, nothing lives at this URL. So it'll stop pushing that out. And then we can go ahead and delete it, okay? That is the only acceptable way to delete something, is to deactivate and then delete. The exception to that rule is this here. You see how it's gray? Nothing's been modified, nothing has been activated. I can go ahead and I can just delete it all. And I'm good to go. And I won't get in trouble. So there was the question about deleting content. Did that refer to the DAM content, or was that a question about content on a page? I don't know if they're here. Someone's content question about deleting content. Okay. All right, well, I'll just answer both then. So that's how you delete DAM content. Just quickly going back to the CMS, if you need to delete content on a page, if it is a promo, so remember those promos are promotional. Oh, hold on one second. Revert to self. I'm not Josh Taylor. Okay, if it's promotional content on a page, you can do it from the little bar up at the top, the edit toolbar that says delete. So you can hit delete here and it will ask you to confirm. If there's no toolbar, so an image, for example, right click and hit delete and you can delete it that way. Okay. Were there any additional questions? Because I think I covered what you asked. Yes. Ask away. But yes. Okay, if you move content on a page that's on Activites, move content on an that's on an Activate, so I do have to worry about the path being affected. Oh, okay. So like digital content, like images, or rearranging content like on this page? Okay, so what's really awesome about DAM content? Okay, so what's really awesome about the CMS, and I need to find a better adjective than the word awesome, but I'm a fan, I can't help myself, is that if I were to move something, let's find out. Okay, if I were to move something, if I using that button, the little box down here, it says, oops. Okay, it says adjust and republish. So it knows that, hey, this particular file is actually on this particular page, and it lives somewhere. So it will take care of adjusting your reference, which is right here where it says adjust, and it will republish your file because this file, as we can see since it's green, has already been activated. And I think, yes. See, told you it's awesome. So it will take care of that for you. And sometimes those references, by the way, this can be really, really, really long. So if that's the case, it may take a long time for that move to take place, which is why we have that yellow button. But this will do it for you, which is why move, this feature is very, very scary, but it's less scary when you're doing it with digital assets. And if you do need some help with it, or you have some questions or you're not sure about it, you can send me an email. I will be doing an email follow-up with everyone. So like I said, yeah, you can, oh, there we go. but yeah, you can email me if you have a question about moving a particular DAM asset, and I'll be more than happy to help. But yeah, feel free, like I said, email me if there were any other questions you had. I'm gonna share out some resources, and I know Jonathan Maynard is going to be in contact with all of the different CMS authors at the remote locations, and hopefully we can set something up again. And I have a tips and tricks thing that I do also. Maybe we can do one of those. And then I know next Thursday morning, we're doing something totally on designing page layouts, where we're also doing a GoToMeeting option that we just added yesterday. So all of you, oh, you're welcome. So all of you are more than welcome to attend. Okay? Mm-hmm. All right. So enjoy the rest of your mornings, mid-afternoons, evenings. Bye, everyone. You're welcome. Oh, yeah, of course.